Your release doesn't hold because these 5 saboteurs silently reinstall the freeze. And that's not happening because you failed. The truth is more subtle and more accurate. Your body is simply responding to what hasn't yet been recalibrated. It's not the trauma coming back. These are invisible signals that make your system believe it never left. You woke up, you felt your body vibrate, you cried, you trembled, you expanded. But a few days later, the weight returned. The apathy, the stiffness, that feeling that nothing has really changed. As if a part of you was suspended in a state that doesn't know whether it's already freedom or still defense. This has a name: retrograde somatic release. It's not regression or relapse, but an unconscious return to old patterns, triggered by microsignals that go unnoticed. It's not about a new trauma, but about old commands you keep sending without realizing it. Tone of voice, automatic thoughts, tiny tensions no one else sees. All of these speak louder to your nervous system than any release technique. And the most striking part is this: pain is not required for the freeze to return. It only takes an unconscious gesture, a wake-up without grounding. You don't need another moment of expansion. You need to understand how to hold the field once it opens. This video will reveal the 5 saboteurs that silently reactivate the freeze state and show simple, yet deeply precise practices that keep your body out of defense and rooted in your creative state. The experience of release is powerful, but it's not enough on its own. The body doesn't stay expanded just because it happened once. It needs to be trained to remain in this new state. And that's where almost everyone slips. Not due to lack of knowledge, but because no one teaches how to sustain the open field. What you'll uncover here is the path that is rarely shown: how to prevent your energy from leaking through everyday gestures, patterns of thought, or the way you start your day. There are 5 silent saboteurs that drain the creative state like tiny, almost invisible cracks. They are what pull you back into a state of rigidity or apathy, even after real progress. And the good news is, every one of them can be neutralized. You'll clearly understand where each one acts and how to dissolve them through small, daily micro-practices. Nothing here is too theoretical or out of reach. Everything is practical, almost immediate, because it works directly with your body's automatic response system. Ancient traditions talked about this all the time. The Egyptian priests knew that maintaining the vibration was just as important as reaching it. Hermes called this state the continuity of the inner fire, a kind of maintenance of the vital force that keeps the Creator within us alive. Today, that wisdom is translated into somatic language, clear, practical, and alive, and you will access it, not in fragments, but as a complete map. A map with 5 critical zones, each one with its own way of sabotaging your expansion. This video was built to show you these zones and give you simple tools to deactivate them. Tools that don't require a lot of time, but do require strategic attention. That's what makes this practice different. It fits into real life. It fits into the morning when you wake up tired, the quick pause between tasks, the silence before bed, because the body learns quickly when you give it the right direction. And every step we take from here on is to teach that direction, so that you not only release, but keep expanding, so that each practice becomes a step forward, not a point of return. That's the secret. It's not about repeating a peak experience, but about creating a continuous state. And that's exactly what we're about to start building together right now. The ancient mystery schools saw the body as a living temple, where every gesture shaped the inner state. Hermes taught that every expansion needs rhythm, or it inevitably returns to its previous state. Thoth warned that the soul freezes when it loses connection with its vital frequency. The Egyptian priests knew how to detect subtle tensions in the jaw, the chest, the pelvis, and dissolve them before they could block the flow of energy again. These practices were not long rituals, but daily adjustments that kept the vital force burning. The idea that the creative state needs support is not modern, it's inscribed in the emerald tablets. Everything vibrates, everything moves, everything transforms, said one of the Hermetic principles. Keeping the right rhythm was the real art. They didn't separate body and consciousness. They understood that every physical tension reflected something deeper. The Toltecs called this inner vigilance, observing the body's signals before they turned into traps. These cultures shared one core understanding. They knew that relapse happens in the space between one practice and the next, in the moment you believe you're safe, and it is precisely in that space where retrograde somatic release acts. When we look at these teachings today, we see that they anticipated something essential. The body needs consistent signals, not to fall back into automatic defense. If it doesn't receive them, the old pattern returns, like water always seeking the lowest level. This is the wisdom that connects past and present. What they called maintaining the inner fire is what we now understand as sustaining nervous system regulation. And that's what makes this subject so powerful. It's not just ancient knowledge, but a living map for those who want to stay awake. Modern neuroscience reveals that the body reacts to nearly invisible signals before the mind can register anything. It's the autonomic nervous system that decides, in a matter of milliseconds, whether you're safe or at risk. Stephen Porges called this neuroception, a mechanism that reads tension in the jaw, posture, breathing, rhythm, even micro-expressions in the environment. These subtle signals can reinstall defensive states even when there's no real threat. That's how the feeling of freeze returns, even after moments of deep release. The body responds to what it perceives, not to what you rationally believe. Recent studies show that the tone of the vagus nerve, which controls the response of calm and connection, can be trained through simple stimuli, like a vocal adjustment or a specific movement of the diaphragm. This training creates an almost immediate reprogramming of the internal state, building a new foundation of safety. Research on heart rate variability confirms that small daily practices of breathing and micro-stretching have a direct impact on nervous system balance. What seemed like just tension in your jaw or shoulders is actually a physical trigger that signals danger and restarts automatic responses. Science is beginning to map how these micro-interventions break freeze cycles and reactivate the body's flow. And this is the point where ancient knowledge meets modern research, not as an echo from the past, but as proof that caring for the body's vibration is caring for the mind and the reality it projects. This bridge between internal signals and conscious perception is what we'll explore in the next steps. Because knowing that saboteurs exist is not enough. You must learn how to feel and transform each one of them with precision. Now we enter the core of what truly keeps the body awake and out of freeze, identifying and deactivating the invisible saboteurs. The first one is critical inner language. Few people realize that every self-deprecating thought acts like a silent command, telling the body that the environment is not safe. Phrases like, "I'm not capable," or "this is not going to work," don't just stay in the mind. They echo through the nervous system as The result is immediate. Your breath shortens, your posture closes in, your energy contracts. To break this cycle, you need to train an internal neutralization code. It's not about repeating generic mantras, but choosing a go-to phrase that interrupts the critical pattern the moment it arises. Something like "breathe and stay" or "my body is safe" should be whispered inward, not as rational persuasion, but as a vibrational instruction. As you repeat this code, notice what shifts. Your breath deepens, and your shoulders release without effort. This is the first key. Reprogram your language to signal safety. The second saboteur is the accumulation of microtensions in the body. They are so subtle that most of the time you don't even realize you're clenching your jaw, lifting your shoulders, or tightening your abdomen. Each of these tensions sends the same message to the body: get ready for something bad. To release this, the secret is to create short cycles of body scanning throughout the day. You don't have to stop everything. Just take a few seconds, close your eyes, and ask yourself, where is there tightness in me right now? Then, let go of the area you find by making a micro adjustment. It could be gently rotating your head, opening and closing your mouth, or rolling your shoulders to release the invisible weight that's built up. When you do this, something almost magical happens. The mind slows down because the body understands there's no longer a threat. This spot release, done several times a day, keeps your system in creative alert, not in defensive alert. It's like slowly teaching your body to live in a naturally open state. The practice is simple. Every hour, scan, release, and take 3 deep breaths. The cumulative effect is powerful because it stops tensions from becoming rigid. These first 2 saboteurs, critical inner language and microtensions, are among the trickiest because they work beneath your awareness. If you deactivate just these 2, you'll already feel a noticeable shift in mental clarity and physical lightness. And this is only the beginning. There are still other subtle forces reinstalling the freeze that need to be revealed. The third saboteur is disrupting the natural rhythm of sleep. The body has an internal pulse, a neurovibrational cadence that must be respected in order to regenerate and consolidate states of safety. When you fall asleep in a disconnected way at irregular times or surrounded by heavy stimuli like screens and noise, the nervous system treats sleep as another zone of alertness, not a space for repair. This means that even after hours of sleep, you wake up feeling heavy, as if you hadn't truly rested. To correct this, you need to transform your pre-sleep moment into a ritual of decompression. 5 minutes before going to bed, close your eyes and exhale deeply 3 times, as if you're releasing all the tension built up throughout the day. If possible, turn off bright lights and replace your final interaction with your phone with something calming, like reading or a simple breathing exercise. The quality of your sleep doesn't depend solely on how long you rest, but on the message you send to your body before surrendering to it. This simple preparation shifts your brain's frequency into more restorative patterns. When you wake up, your body responds with more energy and clarity because it spent the night recharging in creative mode. Ignoring this allows the freeze to quietly reinstall itself during the night when you think you're just sleeping. The fourth saboteur is exposure to dense vibrational fields. This includes environments filled with stress, an overload of toxic information, or conversations steeped in criticism and pessimism. Your nervous system absorbs this density, even if you're not directly involved. It's as if every contaminated interaction steals a bit of the creative field you've built. The solution isn't isolation, but conscious filtering of what you expose yourself to. Choose carefully what you listen to, what you watch, and even the words you allow into your mind. A quick exercise. When entering a heavy space, exhale slowly and imagine you're creating an internal field that repels that density. If possible, bring an anchor gesture with you, like gently touching your chest or taking a deep breath to affirm your presence. With this, you not only protect yourself, but also reorganize your frequency, reminding your body that it is safe. When the environment no longer defines you, the freeze loses one of its strongest entry points. Mastering vibrational filtering is like wearing an invisible armor, not to shut down, but to stay open without being drained. The fifth saboteur is the absence of intentional anchoring upon waking. The way you start your day silently sets the frequency that will guide all of your actions. If you wake up and immediately get lost in screens, notifications, and scattered thoughts, the body assumes the world is chaotic and responds by shutting down the creative field. To reverse this, you need to create a conscious first gesture, something that acts as an activation code. As you open your eyes, place one hand over your abdomen and the other over your heart. Take a deep breath, as if connecting your emotional center to your body's vital center, letting your nervous system know this is a safe place. This micro-act, repeated daily, transforms your internal chemistry and shifts the vagus nerve's pattern, establishing a state of calm alertness. It's not a magic technique, but a vibrational command that disrupts any tendency to fall into a defensive mode right at the start of your day. To enhance this practice, pair it with a short, affirmative alignment phrase, such as, "I choose to stay open." If possible, finish with a light spiral stretch, gently rotating your spine to wake up the fascia and distribute energy throughout the body. Then sit in silence for 2 minutes, simply feeling your body awaken without rushing. These few minutes are worth more than hours spent trying to force clarity later. It's like building a solid foundation, one where nothing external can easily shake you. With this, you now have the complete map of the 5 saboteurs and the keys to neutralize them. What connects all these practices is the combination of simplicity and precision. It's not about doing a lot, but doing the right thing at the right time. The body doesn't need grand promises. It responds to clear and consistent signals. A slow breath, a conscious touch, a vibrational choice upon waking. These small details are what build a true creative state. When you apply these micro-adjustments, something shifts deeply. No more highs followed by sudden crashes, but a sense of continuity. Day by day, the body learns that it no longer needs to enter automatic defense, and this learning becomes irreversible because it's no longer just a technique, it becomes part of who you are. It's not the release that defines your state of consciousness, but what you do after it. And now, you have the codes to keep expanding every single day. Graham didn't notice when his body started speaking in the language of withdrawal. There was no visible trauma, no major collapse, nothing dramatic. It was something more subtle, as if one day he woke up carrying the weight of centuries on his shoulders. His hands trembled slightly, his breath seemed to shorten without reason, and his chest, once open, began to close in. It wasn't physical pain. It was as if the world had started drifting away, even when he was surrounded by people. The way others looked at him seemed to pass right through, without really seeing him. Graham was living in a kind of silent freeze, and it was quietly consuming him. He began noticing small signs. His jaw was tight when he woke up. His shoulders were tense by the end of the day, and there was a sense that something invisible was pulling him downward. It was as if his body had forgotten how to trust, even in moments when nothing bad was happening. That's when he heard about the saboteurs, these invisible forces that silently reinstalled defense without asking for permission. He decided to investigate, not with the urgency of someone seeking a miracle, but with the curiosity of someone who knows there's something much deeper behind the obvious. The first shift came when he noticed how he spoke to himself. With every self-critical thought, his breath changed, his chest hardened. He tried the internal neutralization code, a short phrase, whispered inward, "My body is safe." Within seconds, his breath shifted. For the first time in a long while, he felt his spine release, as if each vertebra was exhaling an ancient relief. From that point on, Graham began practicing the other steps. Before going to bed, he would take 3 slow exhales, releasing the day as if dropping a stone to the bottom of a lake. Upon waking, he'd touch his sternum and silently say, "I choose to stay open." The results didn't come as a dramatic shift, but as a series of micro-victories. Small moments of clarity, waves of gentle energy, the sense that his body was finally on his side. As the days went on, he no longer felt somatic relapse as something inevitable. His body wasn't just free, it was present, alive, and responsive. And that's when Graham understood, it's not trauma that wins, and it's not willpower either. It's the consistency of almost invisible gestures that rewrites everything. He hadn't just broken the freeze. He had learned how to remain in a creative state, as if every cell was breathing again. There's a moment when everything you've learned seems to dissolve in seconds. It's not a big event, but an almost imperceptible detail. A mental noisy, a subtle tension. Suddenly, the energy that was flowing freely begins to contract, and you feel as if you've returned to square one. That is the real obstacle, the illusion that nothing has changed, that the body is still trapped in its old cycle. It's not the body giving up, it's the mind creating the story of failure. And if you believe that story, everything closes again. But there's a key that can disarm that illusion the very moment it appears. It's not about fighting discomfort, it's about changing how you interpret it. Every form of resistance is simply energy asking to move through. When it shows up, instead of thinking I'm going backward, say to yourself, this is just the next portal. This simple shift in perception turns what felt like an obstacle into an invitation to go deeper. The practice is straightforward. When you feel your body tighten, pause for a moment and choose a gesture of re-entry. It could be opening your arms for 10 seconds, as if telling your nervous system, I'm still here. Or letting out your voice with a low vibration, reminding your body that it can relax without losing strength. These codes to open, to vibrate, to release, send a powerful message of continuity. The obstacle isn't the freeze itself, but forgetting what you already know. When you reclaim a gesture, a breath, an inner phrase, you bring back the vibration of the Creator. And in that almost invisible instant, transformation happens. You cross the portal and return to inhabit a space that is entirely yours. You've discovered that post-release relapse is not failure. It's simply the body's automatic return to the freeze state when it doesn't receive the right signals. The 5 invisible saboteurs we explored here, from critical inner language to microtensions and dense environments, are the hidden threads that silently reinstall that freeze. Today, you learned how to cut those threads before they close in. Not through excessive effort, but through conscious micro-adjustments that tell your nervous system, this is safe, this is creative. Retrograde somatic release stops being a trap when you understand that the body responds to repetition. Every gesture, every breath, every subtle choice shapes your daily vibration. You don't have to wait for big moments of release to feel clarity or vitality. It's in the space between one moment and the next where real transformation happens. When you anchor your morning with an opening signal, dissolve tension before it hardens into armor, and filter the density of your environment, freeze has no place to return to. This is more than theory, it's living practice. Hermes Trismegister said, nothing rests, everything moves, everything vibrates. If everything vibrates, the freeze state can also be undone. What once felt rigid is just energy waiting to be realigned. When you grasp this, you realize you're not fighting an invisible enemy. You're retraining a system that naturally wants to return to harmony. True victory is not releasing just once, it's staying free. That's what these 5 steps give you. Tools to stop the body from interpreting life as a threat. Each repetition reinforces a new pattern, a stable vibrational foundation, a lasting sense of presence. Take a deep breath now. Feel your body open, your shoulders lighter, your mind clearer. Let this feeling guide every choice from this moment forward. Not as constant effort, but as a silent commitment to what keeps you awake. You already have the map. Now the key is to walk with it. And every step you take is a firm refusal to let the freeze return. Because when the body is well guided, it doesn't just break free, it learns how to stay free. If this content made sense to you, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. That helps us take this field of knowledge even further, helping more people stay out of freeze and anchored in their creative state. I want to see your presence in the comments with this mantra phrase. I deactivate retrograde somatic release and sustain my expansion. This affirmation seals your commitment to the practices that prevent somatic relapse. This video could keep someone from falling back into invisible collapse. Share it as a silent gesture of vibrational liberation. Click the screen now to watch another powerful video from the channel. And remember, every micro adjustment in your physical and vibrational state is a quiet act of power, capable of turning your body into a living field of expansion and freedom.